Hello and welcome to another episode at the CFS Health Recovery Podcast, where we talk about all things practical recovery related tips for people suffering with chronic illnesses such as chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, POTS, and other associated illnesses. Basically anything where your health has deteriorated, you're fatigued, and you go to the doctor and the doctor says, there's nothing we can do and there's nothing wrong with you. This is why CFS Health is here, to basically impact millions of people all around the world to take charge of their health and to start living again. Before we get into today's episode, where we're going to talk about how to express where you're at in an empowering way to loved ones and family. We've got Christmas coming up as we're doing this episode, and the holiday season and the new year, and so you're most likely going to be meeting and bumping into people, whether they come to your house or outside. And one of the biggest struggles that we see our clients face is when people ask how I am, what do I say? And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you some really practical tips that are going to help you basically be able to express where you're at in an empowering way and feel good about it. Also, just want to give one of our great people at CFS Health a massive shout out for Win of the Week. And this Win of the Week goes to Stephanie Ryan, our movement specialist here at CFS Health. She was a client of mine when she was 16, extremely ill with chronic fatigue syndrome. The program was her last resort, basically. Her mum had tried everything with her, and so this was it. And she was so ill that when she came to see me, she was basically asleep on our office couch, and she didn't want to be there. In fact, she really didn't want to be there. And it wasn't until she met me and realized that I totally understood what she was going through and that we could have a practical plan to start helping her get better did she kind of come on board. And the coolest thing is, Steph got better over a couple of years, and then she went on to finish school, and then she went to university, studied exercise science, and now Steph has just completed her master's in exercise physiology, and she's so passionate about helping people with chronic illness recondition their body appropriately without pushing themselves. But she's actually really passionate about prevention, especially people at the elite level of sport who are potentially pushing themselves too much. There's no kind of conversation around recovery and looking after themselves. So we are so blessed to have Steph as part of our amazing team. She literally has programs from pre-beginner all the way up to advanced, no matter what stage you're at in recovery. And so we're just so thankful for you, Steph. Can't wait for the future and what we're creating together. So let's get into it. How do I express where I'm at in an empowering way? Here's what not to do. Don't talk about your problems non-stop. Have you ever noticed when someone asks you what's going on and then you kind of share the problem, but then you keep talking about the problem and then the problem actually doesn't go away and you leave the conversation feeling drained and exhausted? And the person listening probably does too. The quick tip here for you is that you want to be honest with where you're at, but you don't also want to have the negative connotation with where you're at. We want to state where you're at in an empowering way. You know, let's face it, if you're not in a recovery program, let's say you're not in our program and you don't have a plan and you're a little bit lost and you're overwhelmed, well, it's understandable that you're going to be really lost, and so you're going to be coming from that place. Whether you're in our program or not and you've got a plan or not, what I recommend is being in the now. You know, sometimes we feel like we need to catch up and basically make an excuse or find a reason to people to excuse ourselves from not being in living mode. I remember when I felt that pressure when I was going through this experience of chronic fatigue syndrome, and I felt like I had to over-explain myself to every single person to explain why I wasn't at school, to explain why I wasn't playing sport, to explain why I couldn't do these things that everyone else could do. And it actually was the thing that was inhibiting me from recovering. It was actually in the way because I was mentally rehearsing to myself that things weren't good. And when I did that, then I focused on all the things that weren't working. And when I did that, then I didn't do anything that would help me do what would work. The game changed for me when I learned the power of mental rehearsal. And when I learned this, I came from a different perspective and attitude, and it literally changed how I felt in the moment, but also for the future. And so I went from saying, oh my God, I just feel so tired and sick all the time. I'm so over it. It sucks. I'm sure you guys can relate listening to this at home. To when someone said, hey, Toby, how are you? And I'd be saying, yeah, I'm okay. Like some days are harder than others, but I'm working on my recovery and slowly but surely I'm getting better. Full stop. Now notice how much lighter that feels in your body when you can come from that place. And here's the kicker. Not only is that going to help you in the moment, it's going to make you feel better, but also make the other person not feel drained either. It's creating space for you in the now and in the future towards more of what you want. Language is a very powerful thing, more powerful than we realize. And if I kept saying to myself and everybody else, I'm so sick of being sick, I'm over this. And by the way, if you're saying that, it's totally fine. You have every reason to say that. You have every reason to be upset about it. And I would suggest that, is it really helping you move forwards? We have a training inside our program called How to Explain Where You're At in an Empowering Way to loved ones, to family, to friends, to work people. And it's a game changer because when they go through the training and they start practicing this and applying in their life, it's just coming from such a different energy that it's like, oh my God, that felt good, but weird because I didn't actually have to over-explain myself. I didn't have to pretend that I was fine. That's another common thing that we have is like people pretending that they're fine when they're not. But they also didn't have to paint a really terrible picture for the future when they could just say, hey, I'm working on my recovery. It's not always easy, but slowly but surely I'm getting there. And obviously there has to be truth to that. You have to be working on your recovery. You can't just say that and not be doing anything to look after yourself, But language is a powerful thing. And language really identifies you as a person. How you're speaking about yourself, to other people about yourself, is really painting the picture of who you are. And you really want to make sure that that is congruent with who you want to be, right? If you're saying and telling and talking about everything that you don't want, chances are you are going to continue to have exactly what you talk about, what you don't want, because you're going to act and behave in ways that lead to those results. Versus if you said, hey, it hasn't been easy, I'm working on my recovery, some days are good, some days aren't as good, but I'm overall working on my recovery and I'm going to slowly get there. That inclines to me that you are intentionally working on your recovery, that you are declaring and sharing that whilst it's not easy, there's also possibility. And just by you changing the words for yourself, just notice how you show up differently. And also, isn't it just fantastic that you don't have to say an essay to exhaust yourself and feel totally drained from that conversation? So you don't have to have the heaviness of pretending that things are good when they're not, but you also don't have to over-explain yourself when really, when you say it in an empowering way, people are just going to go, oh, okay, cool. And that's it. Now they might open up a conversation and you might have a deep, profound conversation around the experience of what you're going through if you want to, but you don't have to, right? And when we explain it from this place of, hey, this is where I'm at in an empowering way, you can either close it or you can open it, but you're in the driver's seat of this conversation. And it's just so freeing to come from that place. So my suggestion to you is pick a line. You can write it down if you want to, but pick a line, something like, hey, thanks for asking. I'm going okay. Some days are harder than others. For our clients, they say, I'm in this program, I'm working on my recovery, so I've got a plan and I'm working towards where I want to be. Sometimes it can take a little bit longer than I would like, but that's okay. How good does that feel compared to, I just feel so bad all the time, I just don't know, and you're just going around in circles, right? So it's a twofold kind of thing here. I would highly, strongly recommend for you to have a focus and an intention and a plan for you. Otherwise, you are just kind of getting lost and you feel like there's no options and you're going to complain a lot. With what we're going through, it's extremely hard, but at the same time, it's not really that useful for our recovery. And the same rules apply for how you express yourself to your loved ones and even people who may be loved ones, but they might be in the workplace. And you can kind of just focus on now and the future. There's a difference between people who are getting better and people who aren't. The people who are getting better are focusing on now and the future of what they want. The people who aren't are focusing on what's not working and what they are lacking or missing or mourning from the past. And this is a conversation for another day, and we can dive deeply into this, but there's patterns here that we've noticed. And it's in our CFS Health recovery model of, well, what are your patterns? Are you leaning towards your future and what you want and building that? Or are you still focused and burdened by the past? And how much energy is getting spent there? It's really, really exhausting. The same rules apply in this conversation that you're having. Is any energy expenditure moving you towards and it's feeling good, or is it exhausting you and making you feel drained? I'm going to leave it there today. Write down your statement. Write down a simple one-liner, literally in one sentence. Hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm focusing on. Thanks for asking. Full stop. Try it on. I bet you it'll make a difference. And feel free to use this. It's such a good tool that people aren't talking about, and it can really change the game. And just notice what happens over a month of using this empowering language of how you're expressing yourself. Just notice what happens with the people around you, but also yourself, even more importantly. Wishing you all the best, and we'll speak to you very, very soon. Bye for now. I hope you found this episode of the podcast really, really helpful. Here are 3 ways we can help you whenever you are ready. So first of all, we have a free information group on Facebook. And so if you do have a Facebook account, make sure you go and join that group. There is strictly no negative venting. It's a very supportive, uplifting group. And there are some great trainings in there that can help you get started with your recovery. So it's called the CFS Health Recovery Information Group. There's a link here anyway, so click that link and join it. The second thing is we have a bunch of free trainings that will really help you understand where you're at, but also help you move forward. So we're going to leave a bunch of free trainings for you. So click on that. We'll send it to your email, and obviously you can watch them in your own time. And thirdly, we've just created a 15-minute chat link. So if you're someone who's like, man, this sounds really good, this is really helpful, I really want some personal help, and you want to have a step-by-step plan that will help you go from where you're at to where you want to be, we have opened up a few spots to have a 15-minute call, no strings attached. Basically, this call is to see if or how we can help you. If we can, we'll be able to share with you some information on what that would look like. And if we can't, we'll send you some free resources that will help you if you would like to do that. So we're going to leave a link below. You can book in your 15-minute call. This is not a coaching call, so don't expect to get coaching in a 15-minute call. This call is really to have a conversation around you, what you need help with, and whether or not we can work together to help you get the results that you want. So if CFS Health, the mentorship program, sounds something that you're interested in, but you're just not quite sure about it yet, this is a perfect opportunity to book in that call, have a chat, and then of course we can go deeper if this is something that you would like to do. Hope you found the podcast helpful. Please leave some love, especially on the YouTube channel. Go and comment on the videos that you found helpful, and appreciate all your support, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. All the best for now. Speak to you soon. Bye.